raptures on the terraces if Terry and his Tottenham side can bring trophies back to White Hart Lane, starting with a good performance and result against Liverpool today. But this Liverpool side come here top of the table, unbeaten in the league this season. Kenny Dalglish's team, in a way, the perfect measuring stick for Tottenham as they set out at the start of a new era. Spurs already without keeper Ray Clements, and now also missing Ozzy Ardiles, who's had a dose of food poisoning. Neil Ruddock plays in the centre of the defence. There was a great welcome from the crowd for the news that Chris Waddle is back. He's been out for all but one of 11 games and likely to play up front with Clive Allen. Liverpool arrived 5 minutes late to hand in their team sheet 45 minutes before the kick-off. They were held up in traffic, and then they announced the side without Peter Beardsley, who's got a knee injury. Paul Walsh takes his place. The referee is Jim Borrett of Norfolk. And away we go with Liverpool in the red strip attacking the goal to our left. Spurs with no win in their 6 games since David Pleat left, and 2 before that. Liverpool, of course, who've lost only 1 game all season, and that to Everton in the Littlewoods Cup, unbeaten in the league. Free kick early on here for Liverpool, which Ronnie Whelan will take. Gillespie up from the back. Space here for Lawrenson to get his cross in. Walsh beaten in the air by Mitchell Thomas, and a waspish shot there from John Barnes, and the angle certainly looked difficult. Barnes, who's been in tremendous form, had a hand in just about all 4 goals that beat Watford in midweek. And tripped a little bit there by Gillespie as he went for it. Nicol, a real high up and under. Again, fair clough there for Tottenham, helped out by Ruddock. And here's Houghton, given straight to Wheeler. Barnes. Walsh. Running quickly. They've worked very hard, apparently, this week, Tottenham, in training. And I think Terry Venables is the first to admit that it's a good side he's inherited here. The one thing that they want more than anything else at the moment is just a little bit of confidence. That's what Venables' view is. And here comes Spurs again. Allen. Houghton. Allen again. Stevens. Allen picking it up well. The ball played in there. And always swinging just wide of that far post. But some good work by Tottenham that showed plenty of confidence, and a nice ball played there into Paul Allen by Gary Stevens. There's the Stevens ball, and Allen quick to exploit it, and the shot always just curling wide of the post. Hansen. Barnes. Looked like a handball there, but it was purely accidental. Barnes goes on. Walsh tried to stab it through, and away it comes now with Paul Allen. Mitchell Thomas in for Chris Waddle. A delightful ball by Waddle for Gary Stevens. Hit first time, and just over. Good stuff that by Tottenham, with Paul Allen and Waddle very much involved. And there's Waddle's part in it. Delightful ball there through to Gary Stevens, taken first time and always climbing over Grobbelaar's bar. Full house here. As we come out, we'll probably see where they are. That's the biggest and highest vantage point of the lot. Hodge. Thomas. Just over a quarter of an hour gone, no score. Houghton. Aldridge trying to hit it first time on the volley, and not making much of a job of it. But you can't argue with his 14 goals this season, even though 7 of them come from the spot. Hansen again, winning it in the air. Hodge having a real old tussle there with Houghton, and an elbow going in. And maybe it was 6 of one, half dozen the other, but Jim Borrett calling Steve Hodge to him. And Houghton remains on the ground. It's going to be a yellow card. The name goes into the book, Steve Hodge. As Houghton stays down, this is how it happened. And indeed, as you can see, it had to be a yellow card. And it's more than that. It's a red card. Steve Hodge goes off, and Spurs are down to 10 men. A short walk to the dressing room after that elbowed attack on Ray Houghton, and a disastrous start then for Tottenham. Jim Borrett, no hesitation. Strong refereeing. In fact, he was in charge of Wimbledon, Manchester United last week, the referee, Jim Borrett, and took 5 names there. Well, within 17 minutes of the start, he's sent off Steve Hodge for that assault on Ray Houghton. Well, that is not the start that the new management team here at White Hart Lane would have wanted. But it happened right in front of him. Terry Venables, in fact, probably would have had a better view than anybody. Well, if it's not a big enough handicap playing Liverpool in the first place, to play them with 10 men for an hour, or close to an hour, that really is a handicap. Well, let's see how Spurs acquit themselves. Houghton, the chase is on. Can he get the better of Ruddock? A corner. Barnes then with the corner, curled in wickedly there and fisted away for another corner by Tony Parks. Gets a terrific amount of curl on that sort of corner, does John Barnes. And Tony Parks judging it nicely, getting advice there from Chris Hughton. There's Ray Houghton now with Mark Lawrenson looking to take the next corner. It's Houghton who's going to take it. On by a Spurs player, and it might come anywhere. Walsh putting it wide, but the flag was up in any case for an offside against Paul Walsh. Gillespie. Aldridge. It's Fairclough in again. And now Hughton. Oh, has he missed out? No. Thought Walsh for the moment might get the better of him. That wasn't a particularly good clearance, and it comes off Barnes, though. No damage done to the Tottenham cause because it's their throw, which Hughton will take. Air shot there from Chris Hughton, suggesting he might have got something in his eye. Lawrenson. Come on. Might come for Lawrenson. And shut down well by Thomas. Spurs halted just for a moment, I think feeling maybe that Mark Lawrenson had been offside, but the flag stayed down. And Thomas recovered quickly enough with those long legs of his to shut out Lawrenson. But it's Liverpool's corner. John Barnes. You can expect another one whipped in, perhaps under that Liverpool, that Tottenham crossbar. There it is. Took some keeping out as well. And it'll be another corner taken quickly by Lawrenson. Now Houghton. Played for McMahon and driven by him in a goal kick. Time for feet up, it looks, for Kenny Dalglish. Certainly not for his side. It's 0-0 against 10 men, but Spurs are playing with a lot of spirit at the moment. There goes the half-time whistle. As Terry Venables goes off to renew the spirit in his 10-man team, with Steve Hodge having been sent off just after the quarter-of-an-hour mark. Between Spurs and Liverpool. Spurs down to 10 men after the sending off of Steve Hodge, and here's the throw with Gary Stevens. Waddle, Stevens, Houghton. Allen, and Waddle gets it across, and Grobbelaar just grabbing that. And here comes Lawrenson. Weaving. Now Barnes for Liverpool. Walsh and Babbitt, and a corner. There's certainly a lot of hype over the last week about the arrival of Terry Venables here. Words like saviour and messiah and so on, which Terry himself has said is ridiculous. It's an offside flag, because there's no doubt also that Venables has inherited from David Fleet not a bad side here, although there's no Goff, of course, and no Hoddle, but they did get to the FA Cup final, semi-final of the Littlewoods Cup, and finished third in the First Division. So there's plenty for an excellent new manager to build on. Houghton, Stevens, Hansen. McMahon making the little break from midfield. It's with Aldridge. Trying to get Houghton. Good save by Parks. Houghton, the extra man, in quite a lethal position. It looked wide of that last Spurs defender. Found by Aldridge. There's the run by Houghton, and the shot and the save by Tony Parks. Walsh, Nicol, Gillespie, Aldridge, all in that box, the four red shirts, as Barnes lines up another corner, twisting it in there once again. And it was flicked on by Mitchell Thomas then, and fortunately for Spurs, it was Chris Fairclough at the other end to receive it. Now Hansen. And again, the Spurs back four coming forward with great discipline. Tending to kill the game as a spectacle, that, but it's certainly frustrating Liverpool, who are getting caught offside time and time again. Hansen. Thomas. And goes Gillespie. There's Houghton. Falls for Gary Stevens. there in his own time almost. It'll be a Liverpool throw. You can never ruffle him. Ten minutes of the second half gone. And still 0-0. Robilard's throw reaching Mark Lawrence. On. And now Barnes. Whelan. Aldridge. It might come for Houghton. Another tremendous save that time from Tony Parks. That looked an odds-on certainty that Houghton would open his account there in this game. The ricochet going off Ronnie Whelan to Houghton, and a lovely piece of keeping by Tony Parks. Now here's Barnes. And a goal kick. Well, he's having a fine game. He's made 3 or 4 outstanding saves. His greatest moment of all, of course, was in that UEFA Cup final here against Anderlecht back in 1984, when he saved a penalty in the shootout that brought the UEFA Cup to Tottenham and denied Anderlecht of Belgium. And I suppose Terry Venables, if Spurs could hold on to this, he would regard it in many ways as a moral victory. Played through to Aldridge, played through to McMahon, and Liverpool are in the lead. Steve McMahon. So valuable as a midfield man coming forward and getting important goals, his 5th of the season. And finally, Spurs 10 men succumb. A nice movement, and the ball finding McMahon in a lot of space in a dangerous area, putting it between Tony Parks and the post. 1-0. Liverpool with a score to settle, because Spurs in fact did the double on them last year. 1-0 up at Anfield, 1-0 here. And if I read his gestures right, Tony Parks, he said keep our chins up now, even though we're a goal down. It's going to be really tough work for the 10 men of Tottenham now, particularly when you consider their goal-scoring record over the last 6 games. They've scored but 2. But here comes Houghton. Stevens. Waddle. Allen. Houghton on the far side. Stevens back again for Houghton. He tried to cross it in. They claim handball against John Barnes, but it was right in front of the referee and nothing was given. Mitchell Thomas will get it back to Tony Parks. And Spurs about to make a substitution. So they're going to bring on Nico Klaassen. Walsh on the far side. And the substitution about to be made. It's Gary Stevens. We know it's Chris Houghton going off. Chris Houghton goes off. And top scorer Nico Klaassen, the Belgian international, comes on. And also Liverpool making a substitution as Paul Walsh goes off and Craig Johnston comes on. Kenny Dalglish up and down off that bench. His team may have been a little late getting here, being held up in traffic, but so far as the championship's concerned, with this 1-goal lead, they're right on schedule. Waddle now. A mazy dribble stopped by the man who scored the only goal so far, Steve McMahon, putting Ray Houghton in the clear. with Gillespie outside him. Tremendous running in this Liverpool side. Gillespie now for Liverpool. And a no-nonsense challenge there by Ruddock, who's injured himself in the process. He went in really hard on Gillespie, and whatever the injury, there's certainly be no blame attached to Gary Gillespie. As Gillespie takes it inside Mitchell Thomas, and here comes Ruddock for the challenge. Still some debate as to whether Ruddock will continue to play. Yes, he's going to go on. About 17 minutes left. Lawrenson. Trying to get it through to Aldridge, and he came back to him off a Spurs player, Clive Allen. Paul Allen. Klassen. Holding off Hansen. Trying to get it past Gillespie. Finds Paul Allen. Into the path of Waddle. Now can Waddle let it drive? Go he can! And it hit straight at Grobbelaar, but hit with some venom. And the first time that Grobbelaar's hands have been warmed for quite a few minutes. Hit well here by Waddle. Saved quite easily by Grobbelaar. Offside flag again, this time against Craig Johnston. And another substitution. They're going to take Ruddock off. They feel he can't continue. And 21-year-old Tim O'Shea comes on. So Ruddock acquitted himself well in a difficult situation at the back there. And everything was being hurled at them by Liverpool. And young Tim O'Shea, who's had a couple of league outings, goes into the midfield. Republic of Ireland under-21 international, who's had a loan period with Newport County. Aldridge. Off the referee, and a perfect pass to Waddle. Johnston. Houghton. Comes for Barnes. Tries to get McMahon away. Fairclough out there with him. Barnes. Nickel. Chip in, it won't quite reach Barnes, but it might reach Aldridge, and that reaches Craig Johnston! 2 to Liverpool. And that really will tie it up. Steve Nicholls' work on the right rewarded as the ball comes off Aldridge into the path of Craig Johnston. Past Tony Parks, 2-0. Territorially has been dominated by Liverpool. They've been rolling on in their old sweet way, and with those 2 strikes in the second half, look to have made the game and the points absolutely secure. Hansen curling it here to Lawrenson. Forward now to Houghton. There's Barnes. Johnston. Lawrenson outside him. Lovely play there by Craig Johnston. Exhibition stuff this at the moment, Steve Nicol. And a very good save indeed. Struck with ferocious power there by Steve Nicol, and that would have just crept inside the Tottenham post onto the right foot. And some good work again by Tony Parks. Liverpool's corner. Whelan, Johnston, Whelan. Houghton. Lawrenson. Now McMahon. Stopped by Gary Stevens, but McMahon, sensing it might come back to him, and this time finds Ray Houghton. A little chip by him towards Aldridge, falling gently into the arms of Parks. Inside the last minute. Allen to Waddle. Trying to sweep past Steve Nicol. That's a free kick. Now do Spurs get a consolation here right at the end? We're playing time added on at this moment for injuries. There shouldn't be a lot of it. The points are certainly Liverpool's. Will the consolation belong to Tottenham? As Waddle takes this free kick, it's floated in towards Mabbott. Lawrenson lets it go, and it's a goal kick. That was a poor kick there by Grobbelaar, straight to Paul Allen. Will he be made to pay for that? No, because Craig Johnston saves his embarrassment. Houghton. Finding Spackman. Now to Craig Johnston. Sweeping it to Steve Nicol on the far side. Now to John Barnes. Lawrenson. Comes off Mabbott to Craig Johnston. Deep cross towards Aldridge. It's Gary Stevens with the header who got it away as far as McMahon. And now with Barnes, the final whistle goes. And a crowd of 47,000 go away from White Hart Lane. Steve McMahon sets Liverpool on their way. Craig Johnston got the second one, both in the second half. Another Liverpool performance where they showed no mercy whatsoever, particularly once the opposition were reduced to 10 men when Steve Hodge was sent off just after a quarter of an hour. And so it's defeat on the first occasion for Terry Venables as Tottenham's manager. The result will not please him, but a lot of spirit in the Tottenham side probably will. Final score then, Tottenham 0, Liverpool 2.
But both are fit again today. In midfield, Ray Houghton is again preferred to